Hey everyone and welcome. You're listening to the next episode of Turn Zero Drive Home Edition. This is a solo Marvel Snap podcast where I talk about the latest info you need before you start the first turn of a game while I drive home from work. I'm your host August and let's drive home. So the big thing for today is the new Team Clash mode. So if you've been following my stuff on social media on X, you'll notice that I've been really excited about Team Clash. So I went ahead and put together graphics that show off not just all of the new team members, but also the entire roster of the team. So you'll see that each team has the 6 core members that you have to include in your deck, but then they'll also have upwards of 20, 50 other cards that count as being a member of that team for their bonuses. So for example, the Guardians of the Galaxy, they have their 6 members, but then you could also have cards like Angela or Gladiator, and they'll also get the bonuses for you being on a team. I don't want to go through every list and every card right now because there's way too many. This is a very ambitious mode from Second Dinner, and I'm actually really excited with how it's being thrown out at us. It's been out for a day now. I've been playing it for a day since it launched, and I'm really excited about the future of game modes if this is the kind of thing that they can put out. So with other game modes that we've seen before, it's mostly just been about changing 1 or 2 rules of Marvel Snap. Like Deadpool's Diner was all about snapping, and Sanctum Showdown's all about locations. But with Team Clash, they actually designed 30 new cards for this, and that gives me a lot of excitement and hope for things like an eventual draft mode. I know a lot of people are expecting and hoping for a draft mode. I myself was not completely sold on the idea of it, just based on why would I want to draft some Marvel Snap cards, right? With other card games, drafting is built into it, and you can tell by the decision making and tell by the synergies that cards can have with each other. But with Marvel Snap, you'd get 2 or 3 cards, and it's okay, I just pick the best one every time, right? Why would I pick Medusa over Red Guardian, right? So there's not much decision making there. But what I've seen with Team Clash, with them designing cards, I wonder if it's possible that they could design a whole draft format. That's just my thoughts in it, and I don't know anything, but I would be excited for that kind of prospect. And so Team Clash specifically, diving into that, I'm really liking, like I said, the 6 teams. It offers a lot of diversity. Unlike the Grand Arena we just had, where Grand Arena's pre-cons kind of forced you into 1 or 2 options, the meta for Team Clash is wide open. I remember thinking, when I was reviewing some of the cards, that the Spider-Verse team would be far and away the best, and that's not proven to be true at all. I found success with the X-Men team, with the Guardians of the Galaxy team even, which I thought would be the weakest one. The Avengers, I didn't think of it having much synergy, but man, do they really come through. Really, I don't even think there's a single bad team, to be honest. So you can really just play whatever you want. And the missions are definitely helping guide you towards that by giving you different missions will tell you need to play X amount of games with Guardians or win 2 games with X-Men, and that's kind of helping everyone kind of switch things around every once in a while, so you're not seeing full on an advantage of okay, this deck is overwhelmingly the best. I've seen that amongst people be noted as not a pro but a con. I think the ticket system is keeping people from playing as freely as they'd like to. I know for myself personally, I haven't been having too much of trouble with that, but there are others that I'm seeing on the Discord and on Reddit worried about being able to switch between decks freely if they're just going to lose and then be locked out of the mode. I will say the addition of missions is going to make this mode so much less grindy than others. When you look at the reward track, it's huge. It's dauntingly huge. It's 7,000 points to finish the whole thing. But luckily, the new cards are much lower. So if you're just like focusing on wanting the free cards, which would be Wild Child and Fastball Special, you don't need to do nearly that much playing. In fact, when you look at the math of it, if you manage to do all your missions and you get 3 new missions every 8 hours, and unlike High Voltage, you can stack them, so you can have a total of 6 missions at a time. But yeah, if you do all 3 of them every 8 hours for the next 10 days, that's over 3,600 points. So just from the missions alone, you're basically at the amount you would need for Fastball Special. When I looked at the math, it equated to you only needing to win 28 more games after finishing the missions. And so that works out to be about 3 games a day. So you can do that totally free to play. Because I know that there's been some grumbling about the increased price of the event pass. I saw that, so the event pass is now 1,200 gold. I haven't dived too deeply into that myself. I don't think I'm getting it. I haven't been getting the event passes for the last 2 events just because I haven't been interested in the cosmetics. But it looks like the value is there. Like if you're looking at being like, as a proposition of like, okay, I'm spending 1,200 gold, what am I getting out of it? You are getting more out of it than you would have gotten if you were only spending 800 in the last one. So I think it's a good change as long as they continue to keep giving us more. Like if they're just increasing the price just to increase the price, then that's not good. We don't want that. But if they're increasing the price and also proportionally adding more value into it, then it's fine. As for the cards themselves, Wild Child and Fastball Special are two pretty exciting cards that I've been looking forward to for a while. Wild Child, not so much, but it does interest me in the form of like, okay, could this be setting up a new archetype? The whole when destroy or when discarded is pretty interesting. Marrow also released yesterday, but not with Team Clash. It kind of dives into that a little bit. But Wild Child specifically wants you to do both so that you can have a 2/9. Fastball Special is the card I think is going to end up being one of the more memorable ones of the month. So if you feel like you can do the playing, then I think it's worth it. Like I said, if it's about 3 wins a day, if you're also doing all your missions. So it shouldn't be too much playing time to get it. But you don't have to feel like you have to rush and get Fastball Special on day 1, right? I know you'll see a lot of streamers, a lot of content creators like myself talking about how cool this card is, but there is a way to get it within the 10 days. You don't have to rush. For the gameplay of the mode itself, there's some kinks that I think need to be worked out on the gameplay. Specifically, there's 2 cards that have interactions that I don't think were apparent until we started playing with them, and they work in ways that don't make sense. So the first one you might have noticed is Cyclops. So Cyclops is made to be an ongoing card in this game mode, where you get bonus power equal to the amount of the most amount of energy you've had on a turn. So that's fine on its own. The problem is that when you try to copy Cyclops on turn 6. So for whatever reason, with the way Marvel Snap is set up, maximum energy is counted at the beginning of a turn. So it at the beginning of your turn, it checks like, okay, we have this much energy to work with, and this is much energy you're going to have for that turn. So when you play a Cyclops, it'll check your energy, and then because it's ongoing, it'll keep checking every turn and increasing its power proportionally. But let's say on turn 6 you played Cyclops and Mystique together. Mystique will actually not gain any power because it has not been on the board to see the maximum energy when it's supposed to. It's really weird. It almost makes Cyclops turn out to be like some kind of weird start of the turn card, but there is no start of the turn keyword, right? So I think that is going to need some fine tuning for the next time this mode comes out, because it's definitely taking a lot of people by surprise, specifically because Mystique is also an X-Men. So you want to play the both of them together. And when you play both of them in the same deck, you expect them to work a certain way, because this is a way that ongoings don't work at all, like throughout the game. If you think about something as simple as Morbius for discard, if you play Morbius and then play a Mystique will have the power that Morbius has. It doesn't have to wait another turn to get it. So, very strange. That needs some work. The next problem card I have is Anti-Venom. So, Anti-Venom, I don't... So, this one isn't a bug. This one isn't a bug. This one isn't a limitations thing with the tech. This one is just specifically the way the text works, introducing something new to the game, which we weren't expecting because you would think new stuff would only show up on, like, you know, series cards, not game mode limited time cards. But the problem with... So what Anti-Venom does is it sets the top card of your deck's cost and power to 0 until it moves. And the until it moves is the new part. So it'll always be set at 0. So normally what you could do with an Anti-Venom card is you can add it to your hand. It'll have 0 power and 0 cost. But when you play it, you could also buff it. You could do things like, you can play it and then increase its power in other ways. But the problem with this until you move means that none of that stuff will work in this mode. It'll keep track of all those buffs, but it won't actually apply any until it moves. It'll always be set at 0. So I noticed this when I was playing the Spider-Verse deck, and I added Man Spider and Taskmaster into the deck. And so I played Anti-Venom on turn 4, and it hit Taskmaster, so I had a 0 cost and 0 power Taskmaster, which was great, right? So on turn 5, I played Man Spider, I get a really big card, and then on turn 6, I went to play Taskmaster, and it stayed at 0. But then another game when I did this to test it out, I played Taskmaster and Ghost Spider on the same turn. So that way, Taskmaster stayed at 0, moved because of Ghost Spider, and then shot back up to like 100 something because of Man Spider, right? So again, very weird with this new wording. This until it moves thing caught a lot of people by surprise. I would definitely look out for that, but I'm not sure if this is the kind of thing that we liked in this mode, or it was too confusing, or I don't know if it should be fixed or not. Other than that, though, I'm finding the gameplay really fun. I'm not missing snapping so much just because you're kind of overwhelmed by all the new cards and new abilities for the teams. There's a lot to learn up front. You're going to be trying to play cards that you think work one way, but then forget that they don't actually do that thing. My big one is that I swear I played Rocket Raccoon 3 times, and each time I thought it was going to gain 4 power, and I just completely forgot that Rocket doesn't actually gain any power in this mode. So you got to be aware of what the cards do and what the team abilities do. But other than that, like, the meta's still wide open for this mode. Deck lists are coming in hot. Like, if you look on Twitter, look on YouTube, you'll see content creators putting out their lists, things that they're successful with. I have a few myself that I've put out. But we're going to see a lot of change over the next couple days. I don't know for sure or at all if we're going to see a kind of mid-season or a midweek balance to this mode like we've in the past. I don't expect to see a random OTA to fix anything because I don't really think there's much balance problems that need to be fixed. But other than that, like, I'm really excited for the future of Team Clash. I want to see this mode often. I love playing it. It's only been a day, but I'm just like, wow, this is really good. They cooked on this one. I want to see different teams. I want to see the Fantastic Four. I want to see, Magneto's Brotherhood of Mutants. I want to see the Defenders. But, the Illuminati could be a team. Like, everyone you think of in Marvel, they're usually in some kind of team up. The Sinister Six. Like, you can definitely do some crazy things with this. And so I hope that they continue to iterate on this mode. Other than that, like, the things that I'm impressed with the most, I think, is how balanced the cards are, despite having to make 30 of them. They made 6 new cards for each team, and it doesn't feel like any one team is more explosive than the other. I'm also really liking the aspect of only having the deck build with 6 cards. The things about Marvel Snap that appealed to me at the beginning of the game was small deck sizes and quick matches, right? And so I feel like other game modes kind of tweak with this a little bit by making the games feel a little longer. Conquest specifically, the longest game mode we got. Sanctum Showdown can be upwards of 7 or 8 turns sometimes. And but with Team Clash, everything feels like we're gone back to our roots in a weird way. The games are quick. The deck building is even smaller since you don't have to worry about 12 cards. You're now on 6 cards. So I'm really liking it, especially as a break from ladder at the moment. I know there's been a lot of sentiment right now about how ladder seems to be feeling a little bit harder than it was before. Stuff with bots, stuff with matchmaking. I don't know specifically how any of that stuff right now, but I do know that I've noticed specifically the meta, a lot of it for the last month or two has been about how big can we go as fast as we can? How much can we multiply our cards? We got stuff like Human Torch, we have stuff like Man Spider, and Victoria Hand, and it's like it's taking the numbers and trying to jump them as fast and hard as we can. Team Clash is offering us a way to kind of return back the dial on that experience, where it feels more, no, I wouldn't say mid-rangey, but I will say slower in that kind of aspect. The point totals that you're putting out are not going to be in the thousands. They're not going to be in the hundreds. They can be if you build towards it, but most of it is going to be, 20s, 30s, like trying to like small ball your way to win because of the 6 core cards you have to keep in the deck, right? And it's really kind of, for me, giving me a feeling of returning to the basics, which I'm all in favor of. I haven't looked too closely at the pre-constructed decks for this mode because thankfully you can make your own custom ones. But the fact that we have the pre-constructed decks means that anyone can just jump in and start playing. You don't have to worry about owning all the cards. But I think they've thought of pretty much everything from the looks of it. The biggest complaint I'm seeing is about the tickets, right? And so if you have a mode that has tickets and you lose and you can't play anymore, and then it seems to be kind of in contrast with this idea of anyone can play any team with the missions, I think that we might need to find a way to balance that a little bit better. The reasoning for tickets, as I understand it, is so that they can offer you a reward when you lose. So right now, when you win a game, you get 10 points, and you lose a game, you get 5. If there were no tickets, then you can just keep going into a game, retreat, go into a game, retreat, and just stack up your points that way with no stopping you, right? But the tickets is what's keeping you from being able to game the system like that. If there were no tickets, then they'd have to go down to 0 points when you lose, just so that would work out, and then no one's going to be happy about losing that, right? So I don't know exactly how I would balance this out. I think what I would do, I've seen this suggested a couple times, and it doesn't sound like a terrible idea to me, is you have, and this isn't even just for Team Clash, I've seen this suggested for lots of different game modes, where you have the game mode proper, where you have the tickets, and you have the reward track, and you have to play to win, to get your points, right? But then you also have like a practice queue, where you can just go in, play the game, no tickets, but you also don't win anything. So like you can play the game and get 0 points out of it, but you're getting to play the game mode. And I think that's a nice compromise. I just don't know if it's something that they'd be able to implement. They talk a lot about the technical limitations of multiple different queues, but I think it'd be something worth doing. I've also been recently on this crusade to say that we should get all the limited time game modes in the friendly battles. I would love to just be able to just pick up and connect with one of my friends and be like, hey, let's do a Sanctum match. Hey, let's do a Team Clash, or even like run community tournaments off of those modes. I don't know if or ever we're going to be able to do that, but I think that would be a huge thing for the game, just for like the casual side of it. But anyways, let me know what you guys are thinking about Team Clash. Do you have a favorite team? Cards that you expected to be in a team that aren't? Cards that are in a team that you weren't expecting that are? I have no idea what Hood is doing on Thunderbolts, but I'm abusing it, and it's great. Like I said, I have different lists that I've posted on social media. I'll have links in the description. If you have lists that you like, share them. Let's get everyone playing this mode with as many different varieties we can. And we'll check back next week's episode. We'll talk a little bit about whatever I'm going to bring up next week, but we'll also check in and see how Team Clash has been doing. I expect this is going to be a favorite mode for a lot of people, and so I'm happy to see how this progresses. Anyway, we'll catch you guys later. Thanks.